If you want better rates, you'll need to give up liquidity. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Welcome to How to Retire on Time, a show that answers your retirement questions. We're here to move past that oversimplified advice you've heard hundreds of times. Instead, we want to dive into the nitty-gritty because, well, frankly, there's no such thing as a perfect investment product or strategy. There are certain things you just need to know, so we want to dive into that. As always, text your questions to 913-363-1234 so we can feature them on the show. And remember, this is not financial advice. This is just a show, so do your research. David, what do we got today?
Hey, Mike. Aren't buffered ETFs and indexed annuities basically the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
No, let's break it down, though. There's some interesting components to this that you need to understand. Okay. So first off, yes, they're kind of the same thing. There's two ways that these are going to operate. I'm going to get a little technical, but you need to understand this, okay? Basically, they're built around option contracts and the bond market. So a buffered ETF really is going to buy, or it's going to sell option contracts to where, let's use an example. Let's say you get up to 7% growth, but no downside risk. This is a hypothetical example. These offers change often. Okay, so be wary of that.
So the buffered ETF offers 7% upside.
Yeah, so if the S&P goes up 7% or more, your cap is 7%. What they've really done is they've sold the potential profits of everything above 7% to someone else. They've sold that. They made money on that. Then they turn around and they buy protection to say if the markets crash, someone else has taken the hit. Now you might think, well, I can do that on my own. No, you can't. Because you need many multiple tens of millions of dollars at least to get the reasonable priced contracts. On your own, maybe you can do like a 4 or 5% kind of situation, maybe. Even that, and that's still pushing it. Because retail investors don't have the quantity or the volume to get the better deal.
So you pool your money with other retail investors and
yeah. That's why it's better to do an actual buffered ETF if that's what you want. Now the benefits of a buffered ETF, it just rolls over every year, which is kind of nice. So you can utilize them with long-term capital gains. You get up to 7% in this example, no downside risk. Or maybe it's like the market has to crash more than 60% for you to start losing money. So if the markets go down 55%, you didn't lose anything for that year, 12-month period of time. If the markets go down 65%, you just lost 5%. That's a pretty good deal, all things considered, when it comes to protection. But you're capped at this 7% growth. Now, the other way that this is done is where, whether it's a buffered ETF or a bank or an insurance company, they could buy bonds or notes, so a fixed amount for a certain period of time, fixed interest rate. So let's say you got $100,000. This is kind of technical, but hopefully you can follow me on this. Let's say you've got $100,000 and you put $95,000 of it into a note that's going to give you 5.2%.
Okay.
After 12 months, that note will then become $95,000 will become $100,000. So the principal is protected. You see how that works?
Yep.
$95,000 becomes $100,000 in 1 year at that rate.
Okay.
So then they'll take the rest, that $5,000, and they'll buy option contracts for the right to buy. If the markets go up, they'll exercise it and split the profits, or split the profits. Everyone makes money. Okay. The problem, though, and people miss this, is if interest rates go down, if the 10-year treasury goes down, these instruments aren't going to get that 5.2% rate. They might get a 1% rate. If they get a 1% rate, maybe they end up getting like $500 left that they can use to buy option contracts. So the upside potential is going to decrease because they're constrained by the financial markets, specifically the bond markets. When you understand how instruments actually work, when you can pop open the hood, like when I open up a car, I can point to an engine, I could change the oil, but I can't explain all of the different nuances of it. But when you pop open the engine of a financial instrument, I can explain every little detail to it. When you understand those details, you understand the risks you may or may not be taking with the different routes. So yeah, generally speaking, they're kind of the same. But when you get into the details, you need to understand the length and the underlying mechanisms that allow these offers to exist. Why am I saying that? Fixed indexed annuities have a couple of variables that people need to understand. These are risks that are not talked about enough, in my opinion. So some of them might offer, like and I'm being fictitious here, let's say they offer 10% on the upside of the S&P 500, but no downside. Now that's better. That's 3% better than a buffered ETF by way of comparison. Well, how can they do that? A fixed index annuity is illiquid for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
So they're buying the instruments under different time frames because they know you're probably not going to pull your money out, and if you do, you're penalized for it. Yeah. There's a reason why the penalty is there. There's a reason why they're structured as such, because they need the money to stay there to buy certain contracts to structure the product appropriately.
They incentivize you to not pull it out by having that penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want better rates, you'll need to give up liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. So some people might buy some buffered ETFs. Some people might buy some indexed annuities because they want a slightly better rate and they know they don't need all of their money next year, but they might need some of it later on. They're looking for protection with a little bit better growth potential. But then here's the kicker. Depending on the product, if you really dive deep, some of them will only buy the contracts year over year. And so maybe in 3 years of the contract, they'll significantly drop rates because they can't maintain that rate. They overpromised. The Fed dropped rates. The 10-year Treasury's lower. And so now they don't have the room to just do this. So you now went from that 10% cap to like a 3% cap.
This is the insurance company we're talking about.
This is an index annuity now.
Okay.
So all the people listening in that are pissed
when
you look at your statements, I can only get 3% growth. That's why. The product you bought, there was not enough due diligence to understand how the product was actually functioning. And then when interest rates changed, you got your legs cut out from underneath you. It's still illiquid, and you're getting less upside potential.
Is this why it feels like insurance companies are always trying to quote unquote rip us off? Or
yeah, they're not. It's just they're not being explained well. Okay. It's like medicine. Okay. Hey, this is going to do a benefit for you. Don't ask me any other questions. Modern medicine is a miracle. Modern medicine has side effects.
Right.
You need to understand the side effects and weigh if you're willing to go with it or not. It's that simple. So there are index annuities that will offer you more stability or more predictability. Like let's say instead of the 10% growth, maybe you get like a 6.5%. If the markets are up, you're going to get 6.5%, 7.5% guaranteed for the life of the contract. Markets are up, that's your return. Markets are down, you don't get a return, but you don't lose money. You can have locked rates, but a locked rate is going to be less than the potential rate. So you have to understand and sit on these things and really ask questions or work with someone that's so blatantly honest, like we're being right now, about how they work and what realistic expectations are so that you can buy the right products based on your lifestyle and legacy goals and also kind of just maneuver everything in a way that it fits your objectives. Put the plan together first, then explore the efficiencies, so that's tax efficiencies and so on, then find the right products. And there's always a benefit and there's always a detriment, and what's right for you is going to be different than what's right for someone else. It may be buffered ETFs, it may be indexed annuities. If you want a death benefit, maybe it's indexed universal life insurance. Just remember though, you don't buy that unless you need the death benefit. You can't manipulate Wall Street. You can't manipulate the markets. They are. And the second you think you're getting a deal, you're the one that's getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, so a little humility is in order then maybe.
Humility or stopping and asking the question, what don't I know that if I knew would change my decision?
Sure.
If you're ever pressured, and like right now, interest rates are going down, which means the offerings are going down. Okay? Because the Fed's lowering rates and started that. Maybe the 10-year Treasury will start lowering as well. We don't know. That's an independent thing, but they kind of rhyme together. If that goes down, then the CDs, Treasuries, fixed annuities, fixed index annuities, indexed universal life insurance, structured notes, buffered ETFs, all of these things that offer protection with growth potential will become less competitive because they're tied to the bond market. What you don't do is you don't panic and say, oh my gosh, I don't want to miss out on the opportunity. Let me just buy it right now. it's better to know, in my opinion, what you're getting into than to do a panic buy and risk the regret. So be mindful of it, but they are very similar, buffered ETFs and fixed index annuities, but they have their differences, and their differences matter. Be wise.